Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so Washington State has nearly 300 school districts. And let me tell you, their boundary maps, they're basically living, breathing landscapes. Today, we're diving right in to give you the absolute ultimate guide to navigating the whole shebang. We're going to decode these invisible lines, figure out exactly how they impact public education planning, and empower you to make the absolute best enrollment decisions for your family. Let's get into it.
All right, here's a quick look at our agenda for today. We're going to cover 1. Why district boundaries matter. 2. Why boundary lines change. 3. Reading Washington's school maps. 4. Transfers and special cases. And we'll wrap up with 5. Best practices for families.
So, does your home address actually guarantee your school? You know, it's so easy to just assume that because a public school is, say, literally visible from your kitchen window, your child is automatically going there. But here's the kicker. In Washington State, proximity absolutely does not always equal placement. Let's find out why that is.
Section 1. Why district boundaries matter. And yeah, these are high stakes for your family's daily life.
Because these boundary lines, they're way more than just random geographic markers on a map. They actually govern the entire rhythm of your household. I mean, they dictate everything from your kindergartner's placement to high school assignments to whether or not your kid even qualifies for a bus ride. Districts rely heavily on these boundaries to manage enrollment and cap classroom sizes. And all of that directly dictates your daily commute times, or whether you're going to have to navigate the maze of complex choice transfer applications.
Now, it's super easy to assume school boundaries just neatly trace city limits or neighborhood signs, right? Well, reality check. They are entirely distinct entities. Just imagine buying a beautiful new house in Redmond only to find out you're actually zoned for a school in Kirkland. A home might pay taxes in one city but be zoned for a school in a totally different municipality. This happens all the time, especially in Washington's rapidly developing suburban areas where zoning lines honestly just don't care where one town ends and another begins.
Moving on to Section 2, why boundary lines change. We're navigating the shifting terrain here.
So, there are a few massive drivers that force districts to literally pull out the highlighters and redraw those lines. Population growth and sudden housing shifts create intense pressure, especially when neighborhoods expand way faster than a school's capacity. Plus, anytime a district opens a brand new facility or maybe repurposes an older one, the map has to adapt. It's like a giant puzzle. And these shifts are heavily debated in public meetings using a ton of demographic data way before any final lines are ever drawn. And because Washington is just so geographically diverse, these boundary issues vary wildly depending on where you are. In urban zones, think Seattle, Tacoma, or Spokane, really dense housing creates immediate capacity and transportation bottlenecks. Out in the suburbs, rapid housing development forces ongoing attendance zone changes just to keep their heads above water. Meanwhile, out in sprawling rural districts, basic geographic access and super long-distance transportation become the main puzzle to solve.
Listen, if you take only one thing away from this section, let it be this. Boundary maps are living documents. They are not drawn in permanent ink. You have to remember that a map that was perfectly accurate last school year, it might not reflect the reality today. They are continually being updated after school board actions and administrative reviews. Nothing is set in stone.
All right, Section 3, reading Washington's school maps. Consider this your compass for enrollment. When you're trying to decode these district maps, you always want to start by checking the legend. That helps you distinguish the overarching district boundaries from the color-coded individual school zones. Next up, verify the specific grade level assignments. Your house might actually be zoned one way for elementary school, but fall into a totally different zone for high school. Crazy, right? Finally, always hunt for the map state and any disclaimers to make sure you aren't basing huge family decisions on last year's outdated data.
And whatever you do, don't rely solely on street names. And definitely don't trust geographic features like creeks or highways to guess where a boundary falls. You really need to look closely for the fine print about exceptions or the grandfathering in of current students or any phased-in changes. Honestly, the absolute safest approach, use the district's official address lookup tool and then personally verify that result with the actual district office staff. That is absolutely crucial, especially if you live on a border street or in a brand new development.
That brings us to Section 4, Transfers and Special Cases. Basically, how to navigate the detours.
Okay, so when it comes to choice transfers, approval is never guaranteed. While a lot of Washington districts do offer open enrollment or transfer requests, available space is often the ultimate deciding factor. So never assume a transfer is going to be granted just because a school is nearby or, convenient for your morning commute. Aside from choice transfers, we also have specialized exceptions. For students who require special education services, multilingual support, or very specific program-based placements, the standard boundary map might actually take a back seat. In these special cases, your assigned school could depend entirely on the availability of those specific services rather than your home address. This requires some really close, proactive coordination with the district so you understand exactly how the boundary rules apply to your child's unique situation.
And finally, Section 5, Best Practices for Families. This is your final checklist.
To avoid any major enrollment surprises, you want to follow these core practices. First, bypass those third-party real estate apps and go straight to the district's official website. Confirm that the map you are looking at is for the current school year and literally call the district office to verify your assignment. If you're moving, actively review proposed boundary changes and explicitly ask about bus routes before just assuming you qualify based on distance alone. Your ultimate mantra here should be, always verify.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. Are you relying on an assumption, or have you actually verified your current boundary data? These invisible lines literally shape your students' daily reality. So grab the official map, make that phone call, and take control of your enrollment journey. Thanks for joining me in this explainer, and hey, happy navigating!